When it comes to the fight against insurance companies, large corporations, and the healthcare industry, injured victims are always the underdog. But that doesn't worry us. At Messa & Associates, we're an injury law firm from Philadelphia, and we come to fight. Our clients know that they've got representation with a chip on its shoulder, and it's the same chip that makes Philly the toughest city in the country. Call 215-568-3500 or visit us online at messalaw.com. Messa & Associates, the toughest injury firm in Philadelphia.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Eagles fans, welcome back to another edition of Football 24/7. I'm your guy, Tone DeShields II, and I'm joined by none other than our Philadelphia Eagles insider, John McMullen. Make sure you guys smash that like button. And on top of that, make sure you're subscribed to the JAKIB Sports YouTube channel. A lot of content's been popping out lately. The Philadelphia Eagles have been giving us a lot to sink our teeth into. So, John, let's be fully transparent here. You have a hard out at 6:50 Eastern time. So we got about 25 to 30 minutes to really shoot the you-know-what. So let's get right into it. First and foremost, how are you? Second, and I guess second most, what's going on with the Philadelphia Eagles right now? They've been getting a lot of heat over the past several days, and Nick Sirianni seems like he's in front of the line.
Yeah, what's not going on? I mean, this, the on the field stuff is one thing. They're struggling, obviously, on the field, but the off the field stuff is completely self-inflicted. So they're going through what they created in the strange change from Sean Desai to Matt Patricia, plus, some of the things Nick has said over the past week and a half, and Jalen Hurts as well with the commitment stuff and all that kind of stuff. So a lot of self-inflicted wounds down there. The good news is New York Giants time. So maybe the Giants can get them, be the tonic to get them right, because winning tends to solve everything in this league, and the Eagles should have a very good chance, obviously, to beat the New York Giants on Christmas Day.
When all this really set into motion, you and I haven't really had a chance to speak since that Seahawks game, the day before the game, and then all of a sudden, Matt Patricia takes over for Sean Desai. Sean Desai is still in the building. Then they lose that game, and we haven't spoken since then. And Nick Sirianni's had a lot to say. One thing in particular that I think he's been getting one of the probably the most heat for was when he mentioned the fact that, this is his team and that they've been doing the exact same thing year after year after year. And then you couple that with the, attempt at a free play before the free play was even given with the defensive pass interference conversation. So when you heard that stuff come across the wire, what were some of your instant reactions?
Well, I know Nick well enough. I mean, he said that many times to us. It's his offense. And that's what he meant by that. For the people attacking Brian Johnson, to his credit, he said, look, if you're going to attack the offense, attack me, because whether Shane Steichen's here, Brian Johnson, or Kevin Patullo down the road, or Alex Tanney or somebody else, it's going to be Nick Sirianni's offense, as long as Nick Sirianni is here, and he's going to have a play caller because he wants to manage the whole game. So that's the way he wants to do it. It's been successful for the most part. So I don't have any issues with that part of it. The same offense. Boy, man. Yes, I get it. I get it every morning. Where people hear something and boom, they go in a different direction. He didn't mean they never add a play, they never add a wrinkle, they never do something different. He meant it's his offense. That hasn't changed.
Okay.
You're always evolving and tweaking. He says that all the time as well. So, you can't control what other people do. Sometimes it gets frustrating. I know I get frustrated at it when people misunderstand or go in a different direction. I'm sure Nick does as well, but that's what he meant by that. As far as the pass interference, yeah, that's one of those self-inflicted wounds. I mean, I think, and he can clarify if he wants to clarify. I think what he meant to say is, we're going for a one-on-one shot with AJ Brown down the field. So that's a good thing. Typically, that's a good chance if you get AJ one-on-one. And then on top of that, there's a potential pass interference. But for some reason, he started with the pass interference, and it came off like they designed a play to get pass interference.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think is the case, but like I said, if he wants to clarify that, he can clarify because he stuck his, foot in the what with that one. But yeah, it was a weird, disjointed answer. But I don't think that's what he meant. Is all I'll say.
And and that's the thing, right? For me, in my opinion, one of my biggest criticisms of Nick Sirianni is that sometimes I feel that he over elaborates to a fault, and he leaves so much room for whatever he's trying to say to get misconstrued or misused or misquoted, whatever it may be. I feel like he can still get his same points across, more succinct. And again, he rambles sometimes, and I don't get why. I don't get it because it leaves room
sometimes he rambles the filibuster. Sometimes he's trying to run out the clock on these press conferences. Sometimes he gets into it. Sometimes he rambles like he's a football nerd. So sometimes you tweak his football nerd side. He wants to talk about arcane things. Sometimes it's that. Sometimes there's a lot of reasons. In this case, I think he's feeling the heat. He understands. He's taking criticism. He's not used to it. They've been so successful, 32 straight weeks with the best record. All of a sudden they've lost 3 straight. People are taking shots at him. By the way, that's self-inflicted because of the way he acts as well. So when you spike the football on other teams when you're winning and, shout in the face of their fans, don't be surprised when people are rooting against you when you see some adversity. So, and by the way, I asked him that question weeks ago. He should have known this was coming. And it's here. So either deal with it or, you can fall apart, and we'll see how it shakes. But I do think the schedule is very desirous for the Eagles to finish strongly. And I'm not so, but I don't think it's going to mean much beating the Giants and the Cardinals and the Giants. I don't think it's going to mean much other than make people feel a little bit better going in the playoffs. But, you look at this Giants team, 31st ranked offense, 32nd pass offense, 31st in points per game, 31st in third down offense, 30th in red zone offense. This is literally a prescription for somebody hurting. You can't get an easier matchup for a defense struggling. Can't.
Right.
There's not one,
especially in 3 straight weeks. You get to play arguably the worst team in football, 2 times out of 3 weeks, and one of the worst, in week 17. So, that's what makes all of this so interesting because, Nick Sirianni, this team, they're in a situation where, yeah, you can beat these teams, but it's not going to mean anything for the simple fact that we looked at you as one of the upper echelon teams, the Cowboys, the Niners, teams like that, right? And so far, not only did you lose against those teams, you look like you didn't belong in the conversation, and then you follow that up with a loss to the Seahawks, a team that's clearly inferior than you, and they did everything to give you the game, especially with Pete Carroll's mismanagement of the timeouts. And you dropped that game. Now you have 3 layups in a row, and we're supposed to look at this team as they've been reborn or rejuvenated. The best they can hope for, as far as proving anything, in my humble opinion, is proving that they can somehow get the offense back on track in terms of rhythm, pacing, some continuity there. Try to get some consistent success offensively, and hope that the defense can build, establish some level of confidence over the next 3 weeks. That's the most they can hope for. But as far as gauging them on how far they can go in the playoffs, that's long gone. Now the only way they can prove they're worthy is if they actually go in the playoffs and win games.
Yeah, I think, as I said, you're going to have a narrative that, over the last month of the season, the Eagles are giving up, 300 yards a game and under 20 points a game. And you're going to have certain people excited by that, but it's not going to mean much.
Exactly.
Until you get tested. And it might not even be to the second round, because the bottom of the NFC playoff picture is probably going to be pretty ugly. Not probably, definitely. So ultimately, you're talking about 2 teams, Dallas and San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
And if the Dallas game is in Dallas, you're probably going to lose. If it's here, you're probably going to win. And then you're talking about one team, and it's a team you don't match up well against. So, but, they beat them last year. Why'd they beat them last year? Injuries. You don't know what's going to happen in the final month. Christian McCaffrey might sprain his ankle. Trent Williams might sprain his ankle. Debo might sprain his ankle.
Right.
Completely different team. So that's sort of what you hang your hat on. But look, if they face the 49ers again in the NFC Championship game and they're healthy and they're playing well, it's probably not going to go well. It's just not. They don't have enough talent on defense to deal with what the 49ers can do.
And quite frankly, they put themselves in a position where they don't really have the equity. When you see what the Niners have been doing lately, makes it really hard to look at the Philadelphia Eagles and say, yeah, they're on par with that. Obviously, you can't, anyone who says they are right now just isn't watching the games. So, you look at this team right now, they're 10-4. They're 10-4. They obviously still have a chance to win their division. But the quarterback also has
they should win the division. It's not official that if they win out, they win the division, because you're going to go all the way down to strength of victory. But it's almost inconsequential, the percentage that Dallas is playing a much tougher schedule down the stretch. So if they win those games, their strength of victories go up, but it's going to be bunch of weird stuff would have to happen. So
right, and that's not a good place to be when you're not in control of your own destiny. That's the position they put themselves in.
Well, they are, though. There's a small percentage chance if the Eagles win out and the Cowboys win out, the Cowboys will win the division. There's a much stronger chance that if that happens, the Eagles win the division. So I wouldn't be too concerned about that. If they win out, they're going to win the division. The key is, though, if Detroit wins out and they have the same record as the Eagles, Detroit gets that second seed.
So they're hoping for a Detroit loss, and they're leaning on strength of victory when it comes to the Cowboys, basically.
Yeah, and Detroit, I know they play the Vikings twice.
They play the Cowboys as well.
And the Cowboys. So that's a big game. One of them has to lose that game. So that helps the Eagles as well.
That's a good point.
Because I do. Detroit, the Vikings don't match up well with Detroit. I do think Detroit will beat them twice if they're playing. They're playing week 18. A lot of times, if there's nothing to play for.
By your estimation, the Eagles are better served with Detroit losing that game than the Cowboys.
It's
because remember you said if the Lions went out, they get the second seed. I think the best path for the Philadelphia Eagles lies in that second seed.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about who would I rather play.
Well, in the first round, if they stay where they are, if everything holds up, the Philadelphia Eagles will face off with the Buccaneers.
Yeah, I'm not. The first round's not a problem because I said the bottom.
With the way this defense has been playing, isn't any team a threat at this point to the Philadelphia Eagles?
Well, sure, but I mean, if you lose to anybody at the bottom, whether it's any of the 7-7 teams or whoever comes out of that South, you deserve to lose. I mean, if you're going to lose that game, that's a bunch of mediocre football teams. So. Yeah, I mean, they've proven they can lose to anybody. So it's not 100%, but I can't be worried about those particular teams. Detroit, Dallas, and I think we talked about Dallas and San Francisco. Detroit could probably, beat them on merit as well. Just because they're so explosive offensively. And you wonder if the Eagles can keep up at this point. At the way their offense, we're so focused on the defense. The offense has been atrocious. And, maybe some of that had to do with Jalen's illness because he made a bunch of bad decisions. Most notably the last throw to AJ. Just a terrible decision. Didn't look out off the safety. Didn't notice that, the corner was giving him 12 yards of cushion. It's just, you should walk up, and the Eagles don't play under center, obviously, but you get my point. You should see that at the snap and move on to your second progression, whatever that was. And then the third progression, which everybody's worried about because Kenny Gainwell was wide open. This is not a dump-off team. It's just not.
Even if he's wide open?
I don't know why people keep talking about it. I mean, how much more proof do you need? And Jalen said it today.
So your thing is more so. I'm sorry, go ahead.
My buddy Ed Kratz, he got asked today, did you see Kenny Gainwell? He said, nope. He don't know. He doesn't know. He's looking at the other side of the field. I don't know why people don't get
He's not. Why would he say yeah, though?
He's not an owl. He's not. I mean, the progression is the progression. Now, both AJ and Nick, AJ said it. Nick intimated it. Didn't officially say it, but AJ said he was the first. He was the first read on that particular play.
So he
and then the second read was probably the guy, and I forget who it was. I don't have it in front of me. It's probably Devontae, but I'm not 100%. Was running a route over the middle. That was probably the second progression. And then you get to Kenny Gainwell, and they don't dump the football off. So if that surprises anybody, I don't know what to tell you except get over it, because that's not how he would take off by that point, and you don't want him taken off in that situation, obviously. So probably throw it away or something of that nature.
Okay, so there's so much there. So, okay, fair enough. He didn't look Kenny Gainwell's way, but don't you think, from a philosophy perspective, that can be somewhat damning? I mean, basically what I'm hearing, and correct me if I'm wrong, AJ is the first read. He locked in on him, didn't look anybody off, and just stared him down the barrel of a gun, and just threw the ball and prayed for whatever to happen. Is that what we're pretty much saying? I mean, like you said, he should have known guy had 12 yards cushion. He should have looked off the safety, yet he didn't do any of those things. and he just locked in on the guy and didn't really make the second or third read.
He definitely didn't go to his second read. He just threw it, and yeah, it's a bad decision by the quarterback. I mean, I don't know what else to say. It's a bad decision by the quarterback. But for the people that say, and actually, I'm looking at, I'm pulling up the play on my computer.
Mhm.
Probably the second read isn't open anyway. So, then it becomes more difficult as well. But for the people saying, well, that's just a terrible decision, a terrible play call, which you know me, I've talked to you enough. I mean,
Yeah, I know you're all about results. It's all about the results people talk
yeah,
about. Right.
that's all you're talking about. You don't like the result. You have no idea what the play call is. No offense, I don't know what the play call is. So, but I get to ask the coaches what the play call is.
Right.
And sometimes they tell you, sometimes they don't. In this case, AJ was the one who told us all, and Nick sort of, as I said, sort of confirmed it. And then you can kind of adjust where they were going. It would have been either out to the flats or over the middle would have been the second progression. And then the third would be Kenny leaking out. But Seattle won the game on the same concept, essentially. They just executed better. The Eagles didn't play as good a defense.
Right.
They did the same thing. Thing.
I'm glad you said that because, I believe in Matt Patricia's press conference, or Nick Sirianni's, one of them mentioned how it's still Sean Desai's game plan, or it's still whatever Sean Desai is, I guess.
Scheme, not his game plan.
I'm sorry, it's still his scheme.
Or philosophy.
And Patricia is still going, or philosophy, and Patricia is just going to slowly but surely add things as the season goes. I mean, I don't know.
You can't remake a defense.
Exactly. So, but to your point, because I didn't expect much of a different defense in that Seahawks game, and I still don't. So again, that point you said, the thing we talked about a while back. What was the point of firing Sean Desai if you know damn well this defense ain't gonna change but so much? There's limited talent. Like, what difference can a guy like Matt Patricia make in this short amount of time? Let's be honest.
It's clearly just about they thought in the moment Sean was making bad decisions in the moment. So, as an example, 3rd and 10 in Seattle, 32nd in the NFL and third down defense. They thought he was making bad decisions in those moments. They kind of learned in Seattle. Seattle faced 2 3rd and 10s on that drive where they won the game.
Mm-hmm.
They converted them both. I mean,
with ease.
At some point, you got to look at the personnel.
But isn't that's what we're saying from the beginning, though.
Yeah, it's more important. It's always more important. But and especially in this town, there's so much stress. There's so much talk about this team. We're lucky enough to have this platform. There's 100 more. Luckily, we get more viewers than most, but so we're lucky to have these types of platforms. Always digesting every single moment. I see it all over, guys nationally, talking about the same thing. You see the film guys breaking down the film. No offense, some of them do a great job, but again, if you don't talk to the coaches, you don't know. And there's such pressure to live up to. I've been talking about this since the summer. Unrealistic expectations, no hiccups. Best team in football. If they're not the best team in football, what's wrong? Can't be the players. So who's next? The coaches. Jeffrey Lurie has his history. You're not living up to expectations. There's going to be scapegoats. Sean Desai was the first scapegoat. There will be more if they lose. You mentioned if they lose to Tampa Bay in the playoffs. Oh, there will be multiple scapegoats. Just depends, position coaches, perhaps Brian Johnson. I don't think Nick Sirianni yet, but there will be scapegoats. So, and it was a panic move, and everybody around the league thinks it was a panic move. And, the Eagles got a bit of a bad reputation. The people in this league, I talked to 2 executives today who said they did Sean Desai dirty, man. And they did. They did. And I'll be right. Matt Patricia's probably a better football coach than Sean Desai. Not probably. He is.
More experience, right? But still,
got,
the way the Desai thing was handled, and we can end it on this note, John. I mean, again, you not only do you demote the man, you subject him to national television, constantly having 3, 4, 5, 6 camera shots put on him, and they talk about him losing his job, basically. And I mean, you hear Troy Aikman and those guys say, it's look, man, you got to feel for the guy, right? I mean, like it's a terrible. Like I've never seen anything like it. You take a guy's pride and his dignity and his job, and you still keep him in the building so he can watch his replacement get it done.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Jeffrey and Howie and Jeffrey don't know how bad that looked. And, I assume they do now. And they'll say they're doing what's best for the team and all that kind of stuff.
Fire them. Just fire. At that point, just fire them.
Exactly.
If you were so steadfast in your, again, this is me, being the firmer side of myself. So, John, you don't have to take any accountability for what I'm about to say. But if you're so steadfast in your decision, if you had such a problem with what was going on, you fire the man and show some conviction. You don't keep him in the building.
No, I've said that. I've said that since day one. I mean, yeah, fire him. And if you think Matt's better and that's the way you want to go, yeah, show the courage of your conviction. And by the way, why wasn't Matt the defensive coordinator 7 weeks ago?
Right.
If that's how you
or
felt.
Just hire him in the first place. You had time to find him after the fact. I mean, I don't know. I don't know, man. It was just, again, another notch on the series of miscalculations by the team.
This team, think about, they were 10-1. And they had 2 really bad games back to back, San Francisco and Dallas. No doubt about it.
Right.
But it's San Francisco and Dallas.
Right. You beat Seattle. Maybe we can move on from that.
One is the best offense in football. One averages 40 points a game at home, and you played them at home.
Mm-hmm.
They averaged 40 points a game there. So it's not like they're just beating the Eagles up. The Eagles actually held them under 40, if you want to look at it that way. That's how good they've been at AT&T Stadium. And then that part of it, then you have this final month of the season. Seattle, Giants, Arizona, Giants. Improvement is baked in. So Sean Desai, Matt Patricia, they only gave up 300, a little under 300, I think, yardage. So over this final month of the season, the Eagles defense is going to get better.
Naturally.
Doesn't mean anything.
And doesn't mean anything for Patricia. So it's
no. It would have been better under Sean Desai is what I'm trying to say.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And I know exactly what you're trying to say. You're right.
And you don't give him the benefit of the doubt. You hired him. I didn't hire him. You wanted to run this scheme. I don't like this scheme. This is what you wanted. And there's been some injuries. And it's not, I can guarantee you, Sean Desai doesn't devalue the linebacker position like Howie Roseman does. He's just got to play with the guys how he chooses. He doesn't devalue the safety position the way Howie does. He's got to play with what he's afforded. It's always, in good times, I say it all the time. It's players first. In bad times, it's the same thing. And, You can blame it on the coaches all you want, but there's no magic fixes. There's no magic fixes. You can't, especially in week 15.
Right.
And everybody, and they all get it from the Cam Cameron. The Baltimore Ravens fired Cam Cameron. All right, you can pick one team in the past 50 years that did something stupid and managed to persevere. Good luck to the Eagles.
Right. Not an easy task to take down. All right, John, I'm going to let you go, man. I know you got a lot going on after the fact. I appreciate you for taking the time out for the show. Eagles fans, make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys are also subscribed to the JAKIB Sports YouTube channel. We still got about 3 weeks left in the season, you guys, Eagles fans, so stay locked in. We're going to have more content popping out for you guys. Again, you guys are locked in on Football 24/7 with John McMullen. I'm your guy, Tone DeShields II, and we'll see you next time. Take care.
When it comes to the fight against insurance companies, large corporations, and the healthcare industry, injured victims are always the underdog. But that doesn't worry us. At McMullen Associates, we're an injury law firm from Philadelphia, and we come to fight. Our clients know that they've got representation with a chip on its shoulder, and it's the same chip that makes Philly the toughest city in the country. Call 215-568-3500 or visit us online at messalaw.com. McMullen Associates, the toughest injury firm in Philadelphia.